Hi. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for coming, for showing up here. I want to give you a brief insight in what we are doing in street campaigning at the Albert-Schweitzer Stiftung, and there is also room for questions and feedback from your side, of course, about how you can improve your communication and body language and emotional mindset. So we get started. At the Albert-Schweitzer Foundation, we have like three main goals that we want to achieve. The first one is to stop factory farming, but of course we do not promote any animal products. We do not promote organic labels. Our goal is to say, move forward to the plant-based alternatives. So we promote a vegan lifestyle. We have an online course, a Vegan Taste Week, where we want to get people engaged and learn more about vegan delicious recipes. And of course, we also ask the question, why love one and eat the other? And these are the three main motives and slogans that we enter the streets and try to get people to think and to talk to us, of course. So we are the team Street Campaigning. We are not only street campaigners in Berlin and the Albert-Schweitzer Foundation. We also have a team who is working with companies to convince them to try more vegan alternatives. And we have a science team who is doing great work. And we do petitions, online petitions to help animals. But we are actively the ones who go outside on the street and to try to get in personal contact with the people and convince them to start on their own plate, you know, not to wait for politics to make changes, but to make changes by themselves. And yeah, we're a funny team. We have a picture here from the vegan summer party. I think it was last year or the year before. And we had a rocking tofu. We made it by ourselves. And behind you can see our pig mobile with that we travel through Germany. And yeah, you can see it on the first picture. We try to really make an appearance. We really try to attract the attention of the people. It's hard to really just pass us and ignoring us because we are so colorful and so charming and so interesting. And even people who pretend to ignore us, they can't ignore us. They see us and they see, oh, a pig, and it says, let's try it the vegan way for the animals. They see us, they acknowledge. Here you see our pig mobile again. It says, on the pig it says, try it vegan for the animals, for the environment, for your health. And we have a beamer and a screen and a sound system. And mainly we go to the big cities in Germany, to Cologne, to Munich, to Hamburg, to Düsseldorf. I think we covered the 100 biggest cities in Germany already and have been there quite often. And go to the streets where the most people are running, moving, and show them recordings of factory farms and try to convince them and to encourage them and to motivate them that they can make a change by changing their personal diet. And here you have, of course, our little pig and our little dog. And I love it because it's quite innocent, you know. It's not a provocative or aggressive message. It's inviting, it's charming, and people stop and think about it in the best scenario. And sometimes we don't even need our big pig mobile, but we go to the streets without pig, and we have cow costumes sometimes not. And we have these so-called moving boards, backpacks with beach flags and the little pig again on it, and it says stop factory farming. And it's really cool because with the beach flags, people can see us from like 200 or 300 meters. Maybe they do not see exactly what it's about, but they see, oh, something special is happening. What's it about? So we try to attract the curiosity of the people even before they can read our messages. They see something's happening. And so, of course, I want to encourage you to think about how can people recognize us and how can people get our traction. So Of course, we have the great question. Most people are against factory farming. They are horrified and shocked when they see pictures, but still on the next day they go to the supermarket, they buy ham and salami and sausage and meat. Why is it, and why is it so hard to advocate for animal rights? Well, it's quite easy because most people are omnivorous and they are used to eating meat, to come to weddings or to funerals or to social events, and everything is meat-based, okay? So we have an intense animal exploitation. It's only possible because so many people are still consuming meat and dairy and eggs, even if they are horrified by the pictures. And if you go, for example, you're invited to a wedding, you have to ask, would it maybe be possible to have some vegan option? You almost have to, check out you're not impolite. And actually what we are trying to do is to change the balance, because the more people become vegan, plant-based, maybe in 30 years it will be quite difficult for a meat eater who's invited to a wedding, and he will be asking, maybe is there the possibility to have some animal products? And maybe people will be upset and tell him, how can you ask such a stupid question, you know? We want to change the balance, and maybe if you think about it, the most easy way would be to maybe construct a little catapult on the right side and to just move them over. But people don't like to be thrown by catapults, so we try to engage them with their own motivation to make small steps. And it's about small steps, actually. Some people, they are really cool, it's impressive, and they move to the other side quite fast. But in the most cases, in my personal case, it took me 10 years as a vegetarian to realize there is more animal suffer, and I don't want to support it any longer. So we are trying to change the balance. And well, what is my personal experience, and I see it always again, that people in general are open for change. It's not so much the problem if we give them space, safety and information. So if we enter the streets and we yell at people and throw with fake blood at them, maybe they are not so open for information, okay? But if we approach them in a nice way and say, hey, are you against factory farming, and do you know, or do you want to know what you can do against it? They might be open, not everyone, but quite a lot. So what we have as a common agreement is that we try to be as charming as possible, but at the same time as serious as necessary, of course. So very often people who come to our street campaigns, they are surprised how positive the feedback of the people is that we approach. And of course it's because we try to be friendly as well, and then you get friendly reactions. If you are aggressive, you get aggressive reactions. It's all about how you approach people. And of course, it takes a long way to go from omnivore to vegan in most cases, sometimes not. Sometimes you watch Earthlings, afterwards you're vegan. But I think we are like the innovators or the early adapters, you know. We are the 1% who is vegan by now, and the mainstreamers, they take a longer time, and they are maybe flexitarians or reducitarians, and it's okay. We understand that it's quite a long way for some, but we want to support them. We want to maybe catalyze the process, you know. We want to help them, to get some advice and support so they can go easier to a plant-based diet. Our tool that we use at the Albert Schweitzer Foundation is the Vegan Taste Week. So you have to imagine, I stand on the street and I have a sign, stop factory farming, and I have a list where people can subscribe, and people often like to imagine very easy solutions for existing problems. So maybe someone sees me, stop factory farming, a list to subscribe, and the most easy solution would be, oh great, I'm against factory farming as well, I will subscribe with these guys, and then factory farming will be stopped and I can eat meat and dairy and eggs for very small prices, and I don't have to have a bad conscience because it's over, animals are happy. And that's always the point where we say, stop, stop, stop. It's not so easy, and we are like in Germany 82 million people, and we kill around 800 million animals. So as long as we eat so much meat and dairy and eggs, we will have factory farming. And our goal is not on the street to talk to people and they are yelling at the politic and they say someone else has to take responsibility. We want to get the people to take responsibility. We always tell them, sometimes they even approach us and want to give us like 10 euro or 20 euro. And we say, no, it's very nice, thank you, but maybe you go to a vegan restaurant and check out a vegan menu because we want you to change, you know? It's not like you give us money and you are happy and you go eating schnitzel because we take care. It's about you, actually. And some people are really upset, you know? They say, no, 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 I don't want to have vegan recipes. I want to eat meat. I just want to stop factory farming. Where can I subscribe? And then we tell them, yeah, we're sorry, it's not working like this. And sometimes we ask them, what would be your solution, you know? What do you think, what's happening? 82 million people only signing petitions, but still continuing to eat so much meat and burgers and steaks, and what is it helping the animals? We want to help animals. Some people, they do not want to give their email address on the street, and I say it's okay, we are not aiming to be masters in collecting email addresses. You can buy vegan cookbooks, or you can go to vegan blogs on the internet. We just want to get you into acting. But it's a really cool opportunity to join our Vegan Taste Week, because I think like 150,000 people also already participated. And we have vegan recipes, we have a product guide, we have strategies. You are in a new city and you are really getting hungry. What can I do? So all the little challenges you face if you try to learn more about plant-based diet. Okay, now it's getting interesting, I hope. When you go on the streets, the first thing you should think about, what are my expectations, you know? Some people, they are new and they are really, really motivated and they say, okay, let's flood the streets with compassion, and they somehow have a mindset like you enter the streets and people will, just shout out, hooray, the vegans are coming, let's get some delicious recipes, we don't have to harm animals anymore. And if you have an expectation like this, you will quickly be crushed on the street, you know, because people would say meat is tasty and I like bacon and you're stupid and why don't you care about humans? So it can be quite devastating and destroying. On the other hand, if you are really pessimistic and you say, oh no, people are just stupid and ignorant and nobody cares, you will not have good vibes, you know, and actually it's all about loops on the street. If you have like a positive mindset, not too positive, but positive, you know, and you are approaching people and you say, hey, it's against factory farming, people will stop for conversations and talks, and you will be happy afterwards and say, yeah, it's confirmation, people are cool, people care. And actually the best conversations I had were when I had a good conversation and we were laughing and we were agreeing on many, many topics. And then I came out of the conversation and still laughing, happy, good energy. I approached the next ones, you know. It's about having a good spirit. Sometimes I have terrible conversations and afterwards I need a break, or I ask someone to hug me or so I can get some new energy. But you can get into really cool loops if you have some techniques and some strategies and know about yourself as well. When we are on the street, I always call it approach squash, you know, squashing, where you hit the ball like against the wall. And we have the expectation that we more or less need to talk to 10 people to get one conversation. So it's like you're standing here and you say like, protest against factory farming, do you want to join? protest against factory farming, can you help? Protest against factory farming, are you with us? So the most terrible thing would be to just talk to 2 people in an hour or so, because then it takes you 5 hours to have one conversation. It's not very fulfilling. But with some practice, you can approach 10 people in 1 minute, and per minute you will have a cool conversation, and that's really fulfilling. Some people, especially new ones, you know, you see them, they are maybe looking who seems to be nice, who seems to be cool, maybe he's too old or she's not really paying attention, and they wait for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, who to approach, the ideal person to approach, and that's not really working, because even though I do it for 5 years now, and of course I have special expectations on who might react positive or negative, I'm always surprised. And the best conversation I had this year was a bodybuilder. I don't know if he came from the gym and he had a biceps like a orangutan and no hair and tattoos, and he looked really, I wasn't sure, but I said, hey, it's against factory farming, do you want to help? And he was super positive, he was so cool, and after our talk, I gave him our brochure with a little pig on it, and he said, oh my God, it's so cute. And so we try to approach anyone, you know, it can be very, vitalizing to break your own expectations as well. And in general, we try to keep our conversations as short as possible. In an hour, you can have like 20 conversations during for each 3 minutes, for example, or you can talk to someone for 2 hours. But we think you can help animals the best if you have conversations that are like maybe 2 to 5 minutes. And it's also about power management or power economy. Who of you has been on the streets doing campaigning and conversations, okay? And who of you experience like a very long talk, maybe half an hour or 1 hour, and okay. And who of you was really happy afterwards and said, oh yeah, I really, okay, cool. And who felt terrible and said, oh my God, I can go home now, I'm empty, and okay, some as well. Yeah, both. Yeah, it's sometimes I have a talk that's over 20 minutes or 30 minutes as well, but at the same time I see there are people passing all the time, you know, and they are maybe super positive and curious, and you could give them great input. And so yeah, and the best practice, in a short time we have a strong result with the people. The exchange is positive and fun, and the water class is a metaphor from our side on how much information we can give the people. So if the class is very empty, they might approach you and say, yeah, but animals are tasty, why shouldn't we eat them, you know? And if the class is half full, they maybe are vegetarians or flexitarians, and we can give them some advice on why dairy and eggs also cause suffer and death, and we try to fill the class, you know, and we try to not under-challenge the people, but not to over-challenge them at the same time. So you have to check out what is possible. The worst case, of course, it would be a very long conversation and with a weak result, and the exchange is exhausting and frustrating. I heard it from one group once. They were telling me, yeah, we had an action on the street or an event, and for 2 hours we talked to a man who has a slaughter farm or slaughterhouse, and we were 12 people talking to him. And we think we really did a good effect, and I thought, oh my God, 12 people, and maybe you could have had so many short talks and setting impulses. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. You hear better now? Okay, thanks. So, now this is what we look like on the street, especially dressed in our beautiful cow costumes. That was in Hamburg, and we were like 18 people, and you can imagine how people get curious and think what's happening here. And Yeah, actually, we have the experience that people want to thematic prepare for conversations or before they decide if they want to talk to us or not. So sometimes people are passing me, and when they are very close, I say, "Stop factory farming. Will you help us?" And it's too short, you know. People like to think about, am I in the mood for a conversation or not? And sometimes I try to talk to people when they're 10 or 15 meters away from me. Sometimes it's really funny because I hold the sign and say, "Hey, stop factory farming, are you with us?" But then it works. And sometimes when I approach people who are too close to me, they will pass. But then eventually turn around after 5 meters and say, now I got it. It's a good thing. How can I help? Yeah, keep in mind that people are thinking about many, many things on the street, and they need some time to prepare for a talk. And also, what is very important, we do not regard ourselves as beggars or promoters, so we make conversational invitations or conversational offers, you know. We will not block people who are trying to pass. We do not follow people or make silly hand signs or something. It should be quite normal and natural to be on the street against factory farming, especially when all these people are against factory farming, and we offer them a way how to stop it and how to make a change. Yeah, it's a photo from our back because from you can see the message from all sides, right? And even in activism, sometimes I have someone, spot someone, and I think, yeah, I will approach him or her, and I will try to walk in his or her way. Sometimes I don't see anyone, and I just shout out, "Stop factory farming," and then sometimes people are approaching me. You always have to look, what's the best? But what you also see, we don't have like an information stand where we are just waiting at the road for people to come. But we are approaching them quite proactive. So if you have an information stand, most times 2 groups of people will come to the stand. And the one group are vegetarians and vegans who love you. They want to tell you, "We love you, you're doing such a great work, it's really cool." And the other group is the people who really hate you, and they will say, "You're so stupid and it's so nonsense what you're doing." And these 2 groups are not the most interesting groups for us, you know. We like to approach the mainstream, the people who are against factory farming but support factory farming. And that's why we love it to spread out and to really, get as many people as possible. So there is a really great variety of topics of pain and suffer and injustice that we do to animals. And it's quite difficult to pick where we want to start and where we want to make the first point to help animals. What we thought about before we started with the street campaigning is about how we can stop the most people in the first place. So if you maybe approach 100 people and ask them, it's a demonstration against stray dogs, do you have some time? Maybe 5 people will stop. Or if you say it's a protest against circuses, maybe 7 people will stop. Or you say it's a protest against slaughterhouses, maybe 12 people will stop. But in our experience, the greatest common agreement is against factory farming. So from 100 people that we approach against stop factory farming, most people will stop, and then we have time, we have a frame, you know, conversational frame, where we can switch to all the other topics. We can check out how much information has the person I'm talking to, and how can we maybe move him or her forward to even more plant-based and animal-friendly diet. Okay, and that's similar to what I said before. There is a great difference if you go on the street and tell people I will veganize you, maybe a little, yeah, versus, oh, I'm sorry, that was wrong, versus I will destroy you. So our goal is not to win epic battles of arguments where our opponents are destroyed and beaten afterwards, but we want to motivate people. And sometimes people approach us, for example, and they say, yeah, or I will come to it later. I have some examples. Easy arguing. I had one conversation, it was in the early beginning of my activism, so I was quite surprised about the questions, but it's, yeah, quite natural. A man approached me and said, why do animals exist apart from that we can eat them? And I thought about it and said, yeah, well, why do humans exist? What do you think? And he said, yeah, maybe we want to build a house, we want to have a family, we want to have good food. And I said, yeah, it's the same for the animals, isn't it? They want to run in the forest, they want to have good food, they want to be with their family and friends. We are not so different from each other. So it was a cool exchange. Oh, we had a woman last year and she was saying like, I'm vegetarian and I know about the backgrounds of the dairy and egg industry, but going vegan is too hardcore for me. I can't make it, it's so difficult, and I always have a bad conscience when I consume some dairy or eggs. And she was really, yeah, she felt terrible. She was really depressed about it. And she says, it's too hardcore for me. She always repeated it. And I said, okay, come on, maybe you do as hardcore as it's possible for you. That is enough. And she was really relieved, you know, it was very helpful for her. And I said, you shouldn't have a bad conscience for what you fail at the moment or what you can't achieve. Be super positive about what you are doing. And in the second, when I said it, the woman almost transcended. She didn't transcend, but she became super positive, you know, she had a better mindset. And I always think it's better to make people strong than to make people, yeah, depressed and feeling like shit. I have some more little examples. What we hear very often on the street, and maybe you have heard it as well, if animals had a good life and they were living on grass, and why shouldn't we eat them if they had a happy life? So I always respond, yeah, I have a happy life as well, I'm quite happy. Please don't eat me. I wouldn't like it, and people understand, you know, it's easy to understand. Sometimes I say, imagine someone here on the street had prepared a great brunch and you had like pancakes, vegan pancakes and seitan with peanut sauce and great fruit salads and all the stuff. And next to it there are some cows and some little pigs and some little chicken. And what would you choose? Would you go with a knife to the animals and kill them so you can have meat? Or would you be grateful for the great food that is prepared for you? And it's a very simple example as well, but people understand. And I say that's our society. You have the choice, you know, go to the supermarkets. There's so much to try out and to learn about. I had an elderly lady, maybe 70 years old, and she was funny. I liked her. She had a lot of energy, but she said, vegan is terrible. I won't be able to eat anything. I will never do it. And she was there with her husband, and so I decided to flirt a little with her, and I said, let's imagine you move to Berlin and we move in together, you know, and I cook for you every day the most delicious vegan tables, vegan plates. And she was laughing. She found it so funny. It was a really cool conversation, and her husband didn't like it so much. But it was a joke. Everybody knew it, you know, and somehow changed her perception about what vegan diets might offer. I was talking to a couple and we were really cool at the beginning, but somehow they argued, yeah, it's okay to kill and animals need a good life, but it's okay to eat meat. And I didn't really want to discuss with them, you know. I wasn't in the mood for it, so I was just watching the little dog and they were talking and talking and I wasn't really listening. And then I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention to what you said because I was looking at your little dog and he's so cute and you surely wouldn't want anyone to kill him. And they were absolutely with me immediately. And said, yeah, of course, killing animals is really horrible. So I changed the whole course of the interaction by not paying attention to what they were saying, but at the same time politely explaining why I was drifting away with my thoughts. And it was quite authentic, I guess. And we had another elderly lady who was telling us, I only eat meat from animals that I was personal friends with. And while she was saying she had a hot dog, she was eating a hot dog. And I said, okay, tell me more about your companion, please. What was his name? And yeah, did you cuddle often? How was he? And she looked at me and she said, oh my God, now you caught me. And it was charming at the same time, you know. I didn't want to judge her, I didn't want to insult her. I said it maybe with a little smile, but it was clear that what she said before was not really convincing to us. Sometimes people approach us, or quite often, or they just pass us and they say, I love meat, it's not interesting to me, I love meat. And I say, yeah, but you hate factory farming, right? So I accept that people love meat, but you hate factory farming. And people say, yeah, of course. And so I say, okay, now you have a conflict, right? Do you want to talk about it, maybe? Or people say, people are very different when they approach us. Some are like, oh, vegan recipes, give it to me, we need more vegan recipes. Other people say, no, I'm against factory farming, but I don't want to change my diet. I don't want to change anything. I don't want to miss anything. So I tell them, okay, don't change anything, but try some vegan recipes. They are really cool. They are really, enriching your possibilities. Or when people pass us and they just say, yeah, but bacon is tasty or so, I will respond with compassion is tasty, you know. Sometimes if you hear jokes for the 500th time or so, you are really quick at having good responses. Or maybe when a man told me, but my body needs it, it's really craving for cheese and meat, and when my body tells me he needs it, I think it's really, really important. And I said, yeah, well, if you remember the supermarkets and the chocolate bars and the kids crying for the chocolate bars, wouldn't you say sometimes your body is not really the best reliable information source about what is most helpful for you? And he was laughing, you know, he found it funny, and he said, yeah, I guess you're right, and maybe I should think about it. And I also often use humor because I like it to be funny with people, and I think it's the best thing if on the street you can laugh with people, you know, it's really connecting. So maybe, yeah, we go here with the second example, and now violence. I had a boy and a girl, and they were maybe 16-year-old, and they were like having fun, and she was kicking him. I don't know why, but she was kicking him. And I said, no violence, not against humans, not against animals. Please subscribe here, against factory farming, come on now. And they found it funny, and they subscribed. So what I really dislike when I'm talking to promoters on the street, and I have the impression they are just following a script, you know, and they are just talking what they have talked the 10 weeks before. So I really like to get something from the actual situation and point to it, you know, so people understand it's really happening now at the moment. So when Pokemon Go was released last year, it was terrible. We were with our Pick Mobile on the street, and all the kiddies were with their smartphones and just checking out for Pokemons and not even realizing we were there. And so I changed my strategy and said, have you seen Pikachu? It's sitting here next to our Pick Mobile. It's very rare. Maybe you want to catch it. And they looked up and were really like alarmed. And it was funny. It was cool to attract attention. And we had a couple as well, a young couple, boy and a girl. And what often happens is that in groups, one wants to stop and sign our vegan taste week, and the other ones want to pass, you know. And with the couple, it was the same. The girl wanted to come to us, and the boy tried to actively pull her away. And we were like shouting, we should all be feminists, and the future is female, and don't let your boyfriend tell you what to do. And it was really cool because she got so much energy out of it that she, came to us and asked what to do. Some more examples. That was really a favorite of mine. A guy told me, if you eat vegan, you have to die. And I thought about it and said, yes, I agree. But if you eat meat, you have to die as well. So dying is quite not to avoid as a human being. But you can eat very delicious and healthy as a vegan. So why don't you try it? Sometimes people ask us, what is the best organic label that I should look out for? And we tell them, yeah, of course, the vegan organic label. No animal will be harmed from it. Sometimes people say, no, I want to eat meat from happy animals that had a good life and that was taken care of. And can you recommend, please, where we can get this meat? And sometimes we say, yeah, maybe you want to check out your neighborhood. Maybe the daughter of your neighbor has a cat or a little dog, and they are very happy, and they become cuddled a lot, you know. They can freely move, they have good food. I heard it's very tasty, a little baby cat with some peanut sauce in the oven or so. And you have to be careful, because if you sound like you want to just insult them, of course they will be insulted, but you can try to make it a funny way, you know, and then they will understand, maybe, hopefully. Not all of them, but most of them. One common argument is also our brains wouldn't have developed without meat. And I say, yeah, I don't know, there are different opinions about it, but what I know is if you have such a developed brain, you should use it, you know? It's like a muscle, use it or lose it. And we face really serious challenges with our environment and climate change. And actually the man I had the conversation with the brain about was really funny, and he liked it, you know? Some people don't want to have some boring conversations about ethics. They want to provoke and to get some nasty responses, and they like it. They find it funny. So we have many local groups in Germany, and we are even becoming more. And let me tell you, they are really cool ambassadors of disarming kindness. Who of you is from Germany? Okay, maybe they have. So consider checking out on our website, Albert Schweitzer Stiftung, Albert Schweitzer Foundation, where you maybe can join and learn and get more information. And what we do is that we support or offer a lot of coaching and workshops for our local groups and for volunteers. So if someone joins us for the first time, we usually say for the first half hour you can just follow us and see how we approach the people, talk to the people. Afterwards, the next 30 minutes, we try to stop the people and you explain what it's about. And then afterwards, 30 minutes left, you can try to stop the people, explain it, but we are with you. Nothing bad can happen. We can interfere if you have some nasty person. And Yeah, of course, you can read as many books about street campaignings and listen to talks and everything, but practice makes perfect. So the best thing is to enter the streets and to try to flood them with compassion. And sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail, and sometimes you are happy, and sometimes you are angry. But it's all part of the challenge, of course. So I want to thank you all very much for campaigning, for being active and advocating for animals. And there is some time for questions. You can also write emails to me or approach me in the next days. I hope I could give you a brief insight on how we do it, and feel free to approach me and ask. Thanks. Yes, questions?
Yeah, I was just wondering because you said something about this, you don't have a stall, and because it was easy to get these people and these people, but we've been working on a weekly outreach South London, and in the beginning we didn't have a stall, but we worked us up to now we have a stall and a table, and sometimes we do tastings and just different things. And I experienced, yeah, of course we had those vegans coming and be really happy for having us there, but it's also a lot of people coming who are genuinely really interested in what's going on. So I'm just wondering if you could, like, do you have more, like, why the stall is not different?
Yeah, I was over-exaggerating a little bit, of course. Actually, we work with information stalls as well, but not only, you know, especially if you have volunteers that are quite new to activism. They do not want to proactive approach people, so we say, yeah, you can stand behind the information stand, and then sometimes or most times people with moving boards with beach flags are in the street, you know, approaching people and then sending them to the information stand. Exactly. So that's very important, yeah. Yes? Or you can get a mic.
Hi, thank you. I was wondering, just because you insist on, you said that's the most attractive thing for people, the stop factory farming. And I wonder if that's the introduction to the conversation, how easy or difficult you find it to get the conversation moving towards empathy, because I think empathy towards non-human animals is really important in promoting veganism. Thank you.
I absolutely agree. As I have told on our Pig Mobile, we say for the animals, for the health, and for the environment, or actually for the animals, for the environment, and for our health. So we are the third reason, the animals are the first reason. And personally, I don't like to talk about health and environment too much, because animal ethics, of course, for me is a primary motivation. And you can't discuss your personal storytelling, you know. If you argue with health and with environment, people will respond with different studies and stuff. But if you tell your own story and why you're motivated to advocate for the suppressed and for the the victims, it's quite easy, yeah. But sometimes maybe you have people doing sports and they say, I do not care about animals at all. I had a boy and I said, yeah, but maybe you care about yourself. And he said, yeah, why? And then we had a conversation, you know. You always have to see what is possible. Yes. Thank you.
I would like to add something about your question. What I do when I outreach, I just ask them, how do you feel when you see animal abuse? And that's where they make the connection. And then with a lot of other questions, I just ask, how do you feel when you see it? How do you feel when you think about it? So it's very effective.
Often people try to explain to me, but human beings are meat eaters, it's natural, you know? And I say, no, we are compassionate, we care if we see violence against humans or animals. I think we are far more compassionate from our kind than meat eaters or something. Yes?
Hi, thank you for your
Hi.
talk. I just wanted to ask how you approach young children or parents with young children. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, that's funny. Sometimes we have like teenagers, you know, and of course they want to provoke us and they are like, yeah, meat is tasty, I love meat. And sometimes you have a bunch of 5 or 6 people, and of course you have to approach them different than elderly people, you know. To elderly people I will say it's a protest against factory farming, it's very important. To teenagers I will say, come here, it's important now. And sometimes it really works, you know, and to say, look at the pictures, what is happening here? Have you discussed about it in school? And so sometimes you just need to be loud and direct and yeah, really make a point here. Sometimes I tried it this year, it's really difficult, but sometimes you see families with children, with little children, and I approach them and say, it's a protest against factory farming, do you want to help? And they say, no, we are not interested. And then I say, yeah, but it's important for the children as well, you know. Climate change is happening, and what earth should they grow up, or their children? And actually I was thinking about it quite long, if it's too provocative, you know, to ask. But at the moment, yeah, people respond to it and they are paying attention and they say, yeah, we didn't think about it, but maybe what can we do? So, yeah, you're welcome. More questions? Yes, one more here from.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, because you don't like. It looks amazing with the pigs and all the flags and these things, and I wish we all could have that. But if you just have leaflets and yourself, that's more than enough to actually do effective outreach. So don't let money or lack of equipment stop you from doing outreach, because it's a really powerful equipment.
Of course, of course. Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, perhaps I can add to that you even don't need leaflets, you even don't need permission, because what I do is, I don't know if you're familiar with deep canvassing. That's a new evidence-based approach. I speak to people on the streets, asking them, excuse me, I'm interested in what you think about animal rights, so your opinion about animal rights, can I ask you a few questions? And then it's a kind of interview, so it's using active listening techniques, posing Socratic directed questions, and then people start to reflect on this. And so I did some research, and I did follow-ups, mailed them, the people I spoke with, mailed them, and some of them replied, and according to those replies I could say that with doing deep canvassing method for 1 hour, you can save about 10 animals. And so a lot of people respond that they reduce their meat consumption. So that's a very, I think, I have the most confidence with personal outreach, personal conversations, personal behavior change techniques, that this deep canvassing is the most promising. But we need more research on this. Yeah.
I think there are so many great forms of campaigning and trying to reach the people, and people are different, you know, so people respond to different campaigns and strategies and communication styles. So of course what we are doing, I think, is quite effective, especially because we do not only have the talk on the street, you know, the conversation during 2 or 5 minutes, but we also have the Vegan Taste Week, which is a bridge to the daily life of the people. So we want to send continuous reminders and to remind people, hey, we have spoken 1 week before, and are you still in it? Do you still try more vegan recipes? But what you say and what you say, of course, I love everyone, every single activist who is out there and trying the best to advocate for the animals.
Wow.
Okay, that was it? Cool. Thanks very much.